Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Thursday, August 31st, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin was up 3 3/3% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 47.08, a high of 47.11, and a low of 45.47. Bitcoin price sets new all-time high as crypto markets top $170 billion. That's amazing. I remember when it was 8. Bitcoin is the new gold from Forbes magazine. I agree completely. And gas stations should accept Bitcoin. As I've been saying for years, gas stations should accept Bitcoin. Let's listen to this from Mad Bitcoins number 19, all the way back from May 2013, if you can imagine.
One more thing. Gas stations should accept Bitcoin. Gas stations should accept Bitcoin. Gas stations should accept Bitcoin. Bitcoin may be the space-age future of money and have more in common with the distributed gathering of solar energy than the old world digging of dinosaur bones. But in the world of payments, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Gas stations hate the credit card companies. They were the first ones to inform me of the concept that the merchants have to pay fees to the credit card companies for part of their transactions, and the first ones to make the consumer cover the fee. Of course, the oil barons have a point. It's not as though the credit card companies do any work or add any value to the transaction. It's not as if they weren't just another set of worthless middlemen that we don't need. Dinosaurs, just like the record industry, about to be discarded in much the same way. The used record bin is filling up, and it's time to price gas in Bitcoin. Gas stations can easily configure their touchscreens to display the QR code, which can be scanned into your smartphone. Or they could develop a gasoline app for your iPhone, a savers club that would also track your purchases, even map your purchases, and show your most popular stores, including a mayor system like Foursquare, even offer discounts inside your store. Of course, you'd want to offer Wi-Fi at your gas stations, and maybe have nicer insides, more like Starbucks, or have nice restaurants. You could even use GPS to direct the drivers to restaurants and negotiate for the gas station to take a cut for the recommendation. Of course, the cut could be paid in Bitcoins, and the restaurant could accept Bitcoins, and the servers could have scannable QR codes artistically designed onto coasters for tips. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Too much into the future. We've gone too far. But the real reasons...
We've gone too far into the future, even 4 years ahead. I covered it again in 2013. And finally, the creator of the world's first Bitcoin fuel pump, which I certainly covered in 2014, has adding Lightning support. That's great news for the idea of spending Bitcoin at gas stations. Also, BTC-e says they're coming back, but it's still not loading for me. For more on the current Bitcoin scaling, we're going to Jimmy Song. How's it going, Jimmy?
It's going great. I think BTC-e, it's now BTC-e.nz or something like that. And last I checked, they had like a Cloudflare, they're being DDoSed or something like that. Anyway, Bitcoin scaling, Bitcoin Cash is mining like 2-3 blocks an hour, something like that. They did have a bunch of really large blocks recently. There were a couple of blocks that were just under 4 megabytes. I don't know if that's like spam or something. There are 2 miners that seem to be doing like different things. There's one that's like capping it at 2 megabytes, another capping it at 4. So I don't know what that means, but they're still mining it at a loss, which is really strange. Either they're getting subsidized, or they're ideologically driven, or they're okay with not making as much money as they can on BTC. Who knows? Whatever it is. Bitcoin SegWit transactions continue to be found. I think if you pull up xbt.eu, you can sort of see which blocks. A lot of them are over 1 megabyte now. And it's entirely dependent on how many SegWit transactions there are. The only way you can go over is by including SegWit transactions. So that seems to be continuing. Nothing really new to report. We did have David Harding publish his first article on Bitcoin Tech Talk, and it's on sort of saving money on fees by sort of combining multiple transactions into one. It's called transaction batching. That's something that he is, you know, he's been trying to tell businesses to do. I think Kraken only like recently, like within the last few months, implemented it. It saved them a ton of money on fees. And that's
Of course, the ProTip open source tipping app has had transaction batching for more than 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, well, not just them, like tons of others, right? Local Bitcoins has been doing it forever, and they've been around for a long time. So it's kind of strange that a lot of them don't do it. But yeah, one of the features of replaced by fee coming out in 0.15 is that you can utilize replaced by fee to sort of batch your own transactions. So if you send something and then you're like, oh, it hasn't gotten in yet. Oh, and I want to do this other transaction. You can sort of combine them, replace the fee, and and also like get the two in at the same time for cheaper than you would one, which can be very useful. Yeah, I guess that's it for me on Bitcoin scaling.
All right, thanks, Jimmy, for that update. And of course, if you'd like to check out ProTip, you can download ProTip at protip.is. Currently works on the Bitcoin network, although there are plans perhaps to extend it to the Lightning Network. And as I said, ProTip is open source. If you want to download the code, you can get it right here at GitHub. Also, we're joined by Tone Vase for a check of the current markets. Please give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe if it's your first time here. How's it going, Tone?
Going good. All right, so I have that xbt.eu that Jimmy mentioned, so you can see how often there are blocks that have more than 1 megabyte in size. And pretty much every block now does have a SegWit transaction in it. I know there's a graph version of this, but this is just, you know, I'm still looking at the old school. So here, the last couple of blocks since the last time I refreshed, 18 SegWit transactions, 15. So it's been a while. So every miner is mining SegWit transactions. We just need them to flip a switch to allow themselves to mine blocks greater than 1 megabyte. Speaking of blocks greater than 1 megabyte, here is, there's actually been 2 blocks mined on Bcash that are greater than 4 megabytes in size. Now, I seem to recall that they put in an 8 megabyte extension, but the miners were going to promise, pinky swear not to use the full 8 megabytes, but cap it at 4. That's what I heard back when Bcash and all of these hard forks were launching. So again, it shows you how much you should be trusting miners because they will literally do whatever the hell they want. I am completely convinced that it was a spam attack, but it's so weird because it's probably the same spammers that are spamming the Bitcoin network, only they spam the Bitcoin network to show how congested it is and how it's unusable, and at the same time, they now have to waste the same resources spamming the Bcash network to show how useful it is and how people are using it. I find this dynamic incredibly fascinating and borderline ironic and hilarious. But yeah, so let's go just a glance at the mempool. Oh my God, this I don't know if I've ever seen the mempool this empty. There is just over 1.5 megabytes of worth of transactions in the mempool. The mempool is, 1,300 transactions deep, and 2 blocks ago, we mined over 2,500 transactions in one block. So the Bitcoin mempool is literally like bone dry, which again is hilarious because they were always complaining that the Bitcoin is unusable. Anyway, it's very frustrating to deal with. Okay, all right, let's talk about the price. This is, you know what? I'm gonna switch it around. I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna start with the lowest time frame, and I'm gonna work my way up. I've been like flipping between the 1 hour and the 4 hour. We'll glance at the 1 hour. The 1 hour is generally useless, and as you can see right now, it's borderline useless. There's not much here on the hourly. Let's go straight to the 4 hour. The 4 hour one is really, really interesting. I was tweeting stuff out. I hope you caught my tweets, okay? I tweeted out on the 4 hour chart that I had this 9. This 9 told me to be very, very cautious on the 4 hour chart. And oh, I'm sorry, there is one thing on the 1 hour chart I want to point you to. I haven't had time to tweet this out or even mention it. but other people caught it. I didn't have time to deal with it, and I'm sorry I didn't make my own show. I've just been like so busy lately that I totally forgot that yesterday was Wednesday. So some savvy traders were able to pick up this triangle in the making. Okay, this was a beautiful triangle, and I don't know if the bottom of this triangle should be down here or up there. But if you are trading the 1 hour chart, this triangle is totally usable and totally valid. I don't know what the price range is from here to here. Oh man, I should have probably flipped it around. Let's take a look. The price range is about, let's say, $250. Looks about 250. So now we're going to copy that. And we're going to paste it. And we're going to move it. Right, so there's your breakout. And let's look for 250. Okay, so that takes us to 4,800 or thereabouts. Okay, so that's the breakout on the hourly chart. All right, so that's the only thing to care about from the hourly chart. Let's go to the 4 hour chart. So here's the 4 hour chart. The triangle stays because I drew it on the 2 hour, but that's okay. So I tweeted about this 9, okay, and what I was looking for in the follow-up tweet that said look for a 1 to 4 candle correction. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4th candle correction, and then look for higher prices. That's exactly what happened. Now, why did I have confidence that this 9 would not lead to a direct crash, and why it would not lead to a continuation of the uptrend? First of all, because we just had a big move, and prices needed to cool off a little bit. The other reason is I compared this 9 hour, 4 hour chart to the daily chart. And on a daily chart, we were still on an 8. So I was still expecting at least one more day of upside on the daily chart. So that's why if the daily chart happened to be on a 9 or the day after a 9, I would have been way more cautious as far as having it be a sell signal. So this is why I was fairly confident that the most likely scenario is a 4 candle pullback and then higher prices, like I said in the tweet. Now we're going up. The 4 hour is perhaps on its way to a brand new 9 and reaching the $4,800 target, which from earlier high today, is not that a big deal. It was actually 48.8, more like 4,900. But still, we're fairly close. But the daily chart just gave you a 9. So again, this is a point of caution where with the most likely scenario over the next 4 days is a 1 to 4 day pullback before more upside. Now, why do I think the most likely outcome is a 1 to 4 day pullback before more upside? Well, because the weekly chart is only on a 7. So the weekly chart still tells me that I have a couple of more weeks of upside. But right now, because of the daily chart, I am looking for this to be a very short-term top. And if I'm wrong, it's not a big deal because my weekly one is still bullish. But I am looking for a potential top to already be in this morning. And I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to do my video. And now we're going to have a little bit of a pullback. Now, the best situation you can compare this to is further back in the day. Like here's a 9 on a daily that is also a 7 on a weekly. Now, what about the last time that happened? Let me pull up the back test. The last time we had an interesting 7 was right here. This is the last time we had a 7. You see how the 7 had this giant pullback? Well, why did that happen? Let's go to the daily and take a look. And here it is, right? So this was the 9 that took place on this 7 candle. So there was this, put them next to each other, this daily 1 to 4 candle correction before going higher. Again, I was not looking at this indicator for Bitcoin back then, but had I been, I would have been confident, or at least probabilistically speaking, that this 9 was not going to lead to a complete crash on the daily chart because the weekly chart still had more upside to go. The weekly chart hit a 9 2.5 weeks later, and this weekly 9 2.5 weeks later coincided with this 9 on the daily chart, which this time led to a significantly longer correction using the daily candles, along with the 9 being way more critical on the weekly chart. So right now, this 7 is very similar to this 7. I have no idea how the day is going to end, but I am looking for a very short-term end of the week pullback correction, maybe flattening, and then ramp it up for another week or two going forward. So that's pretty much my update. It's a little more extended than usual on the prices, mostly because I may not get to my own video, so I'm doing it here. One point of note, and it really pains me to say it, while the daily Bitcoin chart, while the daily Bitcoin chart is on a bullish 9 for a potential, top looking, the Bcash or Btrash, as I've now like to call it. Yes, I'm trolling. I fully understand that. You don't have to remind me. The Bcash side of the equation has the complete opposite with a green arrow and a red 9. So if this is a slight correction for Bitcoin, 1 to 4 days, this could be a slight, dead cat bounce for Bcash 1 to 4 days before both trends fully reverse. Okay. I did want to point it out that it is something to keep an eye on. All right, back to you, Thomas.
All right, thanks, Tone, for that report. Just like to thank everybody for giving us a thumbs up and a share. We're up to 900 live viewers today. That's great. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe down below. We do these every day. Just like to thank the audience for all the great Bitcoin donations, especially Eric, who helped me buy this Zoom recorder, which I'll be taking with me to Europe. I tested it out a little.
Gas stations should accept Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Gas stations.
that's pretty much what you thought it would say. Oh.
Gas stations should accept Bitcoin.
If you say it 3 times, it must be true. Lewis Carroll. But thanks so much for watching. I'm getting excited about Europe. I'm starting to pack more. Looking into more Bitcoin conferences. I might go to this one in Essen, Germany, the week after the Breaking Bitcoin conference in Paris. It's called Blockchain Hotel. So I'm looking into that. And then, of course, we have the Hacker Congress in Prague. And I think Tone will also be at the Blockchain Hotel.
Yeah, I'm speaking at the Blockchain Hotel. I actually got to book a room at the Blockchain Hotel. I've been forgetting. But yes, that's in Essen, Germany. I believe that I want to say September 18th, 16th. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot the dates. My entire Europe trip is scrambled in my head. But please Google Blockchain Hotel event. It should be a lot of fun.
It's weekend to weekend there, and it looks like we'll be joined by Jason King from Unsung. Be good to see Jason again, as well as a lot of other great Bitcoiners and others at that conference. So thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with Today in Bitcoin, followed by the Bitcoin group at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And then we've got Vortex with Bitcoin news on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.